Hey y'all, how we doing? Patrick with Vetted, back with another video. Guys, there's been some breaking news. Had to make a video about it. I think it's pretty substantial, especially if it happens, if it goes through. This is what I've been calling for a couple months now. Really since the July 26 hearings. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Let's look at the tweet that started this all, y'all. Right here. Anna Paulina Luna tweets out, just got word that we will be allowed to do the SCIF classified UAP briefing. Ref Grusch with the IG. And then she tags Tim Burchett, Jared Moskowitz, and Matt Gaetz. Quite an interesting trio there, right? But anyway, right, that's a huge deal. That's what we wanted. Now, there's some small caveats to this that I think people are a little confused on, and I'll just say it right now. People are thinking David Grusch is going to be in the SCIF. He will not be in the SCIF, okay? David Grusch will not be in the SCIF as of now. Let's look at an interview that Tim Burchett did on News Nation. Potentially another SCIF could happen where David Grusch is in it, but at this point, it's just going to be about some documents that he presented. So I have more on that, right? So Joe Cahill from News Nation confirmed, I'm told there will be 2 members only briefings, one with DOD Inspector General, the other with Intel Community Inspector General. The Intel Community IG, according to UAP UFO whistleblower David Grusch, has specific info Grusch provided that he couldn't share publicly. So let's jump into some of that. I'm going to be showing the clip of the News Nation with Tim Burchett. Okay, we're going to look at who the DOD Inspector General is. We're going to be looking at who the Intel Community Inspector General is. We're going to be looking at what a SCIF is exactly. And then we're also going to be looking at some things that were said during the hearing, just a sort of reminder, a refresh, that they need to talk about in this SCIF. Okay, so let's get started with, you know what, let's just go with this tweet real quick. Who are these people, right? So the Department of Defense Inspector General is Robert P. Storch. Okay, here he is right here. Again, I'm going to put links to all of this so you can check it out yourself. So that's one person. And then the next one is Thomas A. Monheim. He's the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. Okay, so the ICIG or the IGIC, however they word it. And he previously served as the General Counsel of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, where David Grusch worked. Anyway, let's jump into this interview with Tim Burchett and I think her name is Elizabeth Vargas. Yeah, Elizabeth Vargas. Okay. And then we're going to look at what a SCIF is and the rest of that. All right, let's jump in here.
I want to shift to a slightly different story. News Nation has learned that you and your colleagues will be able to get into the classified SCIF room to look at the UAP documents that you've been trying to get. You had this exchange with whistleblower David Grusch about getting into the SCIF back in July. Let's take a listen.
Can you give me the names and titles of the people with direct firsthand knowledge and access to some of this crash retrieval, some of these crash retrieval programs, and maybe which facilities, military bases the recovered material would be in?
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
And we could get that in the SCIF if we were allowed to get in a SCIF with you. Would that be probably what you would think?
Sure, if you had the appropriate accesses, yeah.
All right, so now you got the access, right?
Yes, ma'am. Allegedly. I'll believe it when I see everything. They're scrambling right now, and they're...
Allegedly, right? I understand his hesitation. People are excited, so this better happen, man, because I guess he feels they could pull it back. He thought he would get it before as well. That's what happened. After the hearing, it was supposed to go in a SCIF, and it just never happened, right? They were denied. It was a lot of different stories out there. First, it was David Grusch didn't have his clearances. Then it was like, no, that's BS. Does have his clearances. They just don't want to give it to him. You know, they're hiding stuff. You know, right? A lot of different theories floating around. So let's look at maybe when the timeline is. When might this happen, right? When are these going to happen?
Nervous, and they should be. I noticed I was wearing my gray suit right there. My wife's going to be on me, so baby, why don't you wear that gray suit? Wear my gray suit.
When are you going to do this? When are you going to go into the skiff?
It'll be before Christmas, I believe, is what we've heard. It's coming up here in the next couple of weeks, from what I understand. But all those things are kind of subjective to what's going on elsewhere, of course, in Washington.
I think probably getting a speaker,
because a lot of people are asking.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, there's no Speaker of the House currently, right? There's a war in Ukraine. There's this breakout war in Israel, right? In Gaza, right? The Palestinians, there's a lot going on. So it could be undone, right? This thread could be cut off before it's ever pulled any further, which is why he's saying allegedly. That's my opinion, which, again, I have no problem with him saying. I understand why he would say that, to be honest with you, right? I'll see it when I believe it. I feel the same way. I'll believe it when I see it. Did I say that the other way around? I think I did. Anyway, you get my drift.
Very quickly, Congressman, do you go into the SCIF with David Grusch, or do you just go through the documents that he has assembled for you?
I believe, first of all, we'll go through with the documents. That would be a secondary thing, which I understand is in the works as well. But from what I understand, there's a lot more than Grusch out there. Dave's a buddy of mine, but there's a lot more than Grusch out there that have this information, and we're going to get to it. And that's why people are very nervous, and they should be at the Pentagon, because they've been.
So, again, not going to be with Grusch. The documents, right, that he said he had, that listed names, all the witnesses. He said hostile and non-hostile. Probably that means, they want to cooperate, want to blow the whistle, and other people that don't want to cooperate, but he has their names and he knows they're working on this stuff, right? And then also remember, he knew exactly where these places were, that these craft are being kept, right? So, and potentially the NHI, right? These non-human intelligence, these bodies, the alien bodies, let's just call it what it is. Interesting. My gosh, guys, if that would have happened before Christmas and they just go and wheel out the spaceship and the aliens, what a great Christmas gift, right? Yeah, that would be amazing, to be honest with you. I don't see it playing out like that, but you get my drift.
Covering this thing up since 1947, and now all of a sudden, hey, 55% of America believes that there's something else out there. A major news network like yourself is covering this, so they realize there's money available. They want us to study it now. All I say is bring out the documents. Let the American public decide. You all have been great in the media by keeping the heat on them, and thank y'all for that.
All right. Thanks so much for watching.
I wish there would have been more to that interview, but I get it, did what they did, because they set up that whole interview just to get that with him. But, okay, so let's look at what exactly a SCIF is, right? It's a sensitive compartmented information facility, all right? Sensitive compartmented information facility, SCIF, right? In United States military, national security, national defense, and intelligence parlance is an enclosed area within a building that is used to process sensitive compartmented information, types of classified information. So SCIFs can either be permanent or temporary, okay? And they can be set up in official government buildings, such as the Situation Room in the White House, aboard ships and private residences of officials, or in hotel rooms or other places of necessity for officials when traveling. Portable SCIFs can also be quickly set up when needed during emergency situations. Because of the operational security risk they pose, personal cell phones, smartwatches, computer flash drives, aka thumb drives, or any other sort of personal electronic device, PD, cameras, analog or digital, other than those that are U.S. government property and which are used only under strict guidelines, and or any other sort of recording or transmitting devices are expressly prohibited in SCIFs, right? So that's the idea. You go in, you don't have any electronics, and you can have this private conversation about secure, classified intel. Be shown documents. You can be shown videos, photos, have conversation, right? Back and forth, that sort of thing. So, and that's what David Grusch needed in order to pass off that information to, the Congress people. So access to SCIFs is normally limited to those individuals with appropriate security clearances. Non-cleared personnel in SCIFs must be under the constant oversight of cleared personnel and all classified information and material removed from view to prevent unauthorized access. So that's interesting, right? As part of this process, non-cleared personnel are also typically required to surrender all recording, photographic, and other electronic media devices. All the activity and conversation inside is presumed restricted from public disclosure. So, we may never find out. We probably can never find out what they discuss in the SCIF, but we may be able to tell based on the next steps they take, right? So, could they testify afterwards, right, about this? So, meaning, could Robert P. Storch or Thomas A. Monheim, could they then testify to the House Oversight Committee, right, in another hearing? Because remember, Tim Burchett said we're getting one more hearing, right? That was in that Sean Ryan interview that I covered. So yeah, and it's quite interesting. Again, I'm going to put links to all of this so you can find out, or you can research this yourself and look into it more. All right, so let's look at some different clips, okay, that I have here from the initial hearing in July. Of why they need this SCIF. Like, why couldn't he say it in the hearing, right? He made a lot of claims in the hearing. Why can't we get this in the SCIF? So this is all very interesting. This one's just this first one here is just bombshell, and I just think it's important to keep reminding ourselves about this. Again, I've been talking about this forever. Forget all the noise. Forget all the nonsense that's happening out there that people are chattering about. I'll give it to David Grusch, right? And David Fravor and Ryan and Graves, they went under oath and they testified. They put their money where their mouth is, man. They didn't, say, hey, wait till this date and things are coming. And, David Grusch, there was no lead up for David Grusch. You don't see David Grusch on social media tweeting stuff out, right? You don't see any of that, So just think about these other people that are doing that stuff. And, not telling us about some documentary or book they have coming out, that's not David Grusch, man, right? So I'll give it to David Grusch. I respect him for that reason. And, he could be the guy that brings it all down, man. Let's hope it's true. So let's take a look.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, Biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they?
I mean, she's like, what do I say, right? That is a huge bombshell, right? Clearly, just the biggest question we could ask ourselves, Someone made a comment today in the video that I released, or I guess I record these the night before for the next day, so... released the episode on Tuesday. Someone made a comment that looking into UFOs and aliens is just silly. It's like, don't forget, guys, there's two questions to ask. Are we alone in the universe, and have we been visited by, another entity from whatever, another part of the universe, time, interdimensions, whatever, however you want to look at it, right? And those are two very different questions. So it's not silly to think about aliens or UFOs, right? Spacecraft from another, that's not ours. It's not human made. That's not crazy to think about. In fact, it seems completely obvious that is either has happened or will happen, right? To me, it just seems obvious. right? But that's where the debate is has that happened yet? That's what we want to know. Not are we alone in the universe? That to me is, yeah, I don't think we're alone, right? I do not think we're alone. So it's not silly to think about these things, in my opinion. I think it's silly to think that's silly. It's just why we do this, right? Anyone doubting my intentions, it's been happening a lot lately because I'm asking questions. People start to doubt, do I even care about it? Well, of course, I have a whole chance. This is my job. Guys, this is my full-time job. I don't have another job, and then I do this. This is it. Clearly, I care. I've invested, all of my time into this. So, getting called lazy and I don't care and blah, blah, anti-disclosure. Again, just that's laziness to me because you're not willing to actually look into who I am and what I'm trying to do. A lot of you are, which I appreciate. Most of you are, right? Y'all make this happen. This is a group effort, y'all. Just don't forget that.
I guess human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a SCIF about.
There you go. Talk to a SCIF about. What do you think, like, we'll go to this next video here real quick, but what do you guys think about, like, these people that are working on these craft or the beings, right? Like right now, knowing that it's being talked about in the are they just sitting there like with the scalpel and just like, everyone's about to find out, man. Taking little souvenirs, or you're working on the craft like, yeah, this is about to be out there. No one's gonna believe this shit. I just be curious. It's like a Far Side. Remember that the comic Far Side? I guess I'm showing my age there. I could just see a Far Side about that. Quite interesting. Anyway, here we go.
In the public, Mr. Grusch, and so I want to get down to, if we can, some specifics, right? So at one point you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity. And
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed.
So this will be talked about in the SCIF, right? The specifics of who from the government potentially has hurt other people who were working on these programs, maybe trying to silence them, right? And also, like aliens, hurting people, or UFOs hurting people. In what way, right? Are they shooting them down? Are they interacting with them? I think the question that should have been asked, was it like purposeful? Was it by accident, right? Like just because we don't have, it's just by accident. They touched the craft, got hurt, right? Just didn't know what they were doing, or this was malicious, right? That's what would be interesting to know.
And I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
Okay. One of my constituents actually sent this next question, and I figured I'd ask it since I had the same thought. You've said that the U.S. has intact spacecraft. You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species. Have you seen the spacecraft?
I have to be careful to describe what I've seen firsthand and not in this environment, but I could answer that question behind closed doors. Yeah.
So again, these are the things that are going to be talked about in the SCIF. Probably David Grusch has made reports, right? and he'll be able to share that. So even though he won't be in the SCIF, at least not this first meeting or a couple meetings they'll have, still a little confused on that. Nobody really knows. This is all very interesting, y'all. I'm excited about this, if I'm being honest. I am.
You seen any of the bodies?
That's something I've not witnessed myself.
Okay.
So the spacecraft, he doesn't want to talk about. And he says, I have to be careful of what I've seen and what I haven't. And then when he's asked about the bodies, he says, no, that's something I haven't seen. So he would have denied the spacecraft if he hadn't seen it. Right? He would have just answered the same way. That's just a small detail. I don't know. Am I missing that? Am I thinking about that wrong? That's what it seems to me. Just in the details of that, right? He would have denied that. So in my opinion, Grusch has seen a spacecraft. Or, did he see it in person, or he saw it in a video? He saw it, right, in a photo. Just very interesting. I don't know.
And so with that being said, the other statement that has been made that was intriguing to me it's intriguing because my view has been that we are billions of light years away from any other system. And the concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is something that I find a little bit far-fetched. And with that being said, you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
Yeah, to answer your first question, and I'm here as a fact witness and expert, but I will give you a theoretical framework, at least to work off, to kind of espouse crashes, regardless of your level of sentience, right? Planes crash, cars crash. N number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the Air Force. And then in terms of,
I'll be honest. At first, I used to have that same thought, right? Like, they come all this way and they crash. I used to say the same thing of like, oh, they come this way and they're still using lights. But I've changed my thinking on that. I'm a lot more open-minded about that. One, we have no idea anything about them. So to assume a negative about them, right, we also don't know. But, yeah, I would assume no matter how advanced, something will break down. Nothing is perfect, ever, right? There is no reference for perfection, meaning zero chance of failure. I just don't see that happening. There's no evidence of that anywhere in the universe. I mean, the entire universe is based on chaos, the opposite of perfection. And the lights thing, I thought, well, light is everywhere in the universe, man. It's literally how we see things. So this idea that they wouldn't use lights, I got to take that back. It's quite possible they would use lights. In fact, that could be a universal element, variable, is light, right? So I don't know, just something I've been thinking about, right? Lights, stars put out lights. It's just how we, the light spectrum, it's how we see reality in front of us. So yeah, I could see them still using lights, as crazy as that sounds. So anyway.
Multidimensionality, that kind of thing. The framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we could probably argue about that.
But you have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring?
Only a theoretical framework discussion. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, shadows are 2D, right? Our shadow is two-dimensional from our three-dimensional body. I don't know. Am I wrong about that?
Occam's razor is that these aircraft, have they been identified that they are being produced by domestic, military and contractors? Is there any evidence that that's what's being recovered?
Not to my knowledge, plus the recoveries predate a lot of our advanced programs that I previously am witting of, so.
Would it be safe to...
That's interesting, too. I don't know if I caught that before. So it's not like they caught a craft the last 5 years or something, I don't know, right? Seems like a lot of these craft that we've got were a while ago. I'd like to know the most recent one, right? Where there's still maybe some evidence lying around. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Say that there could be a scenario today where you have an aircraft that crashes because it's been involved in one program from one federal agency, but the agency that retrieves it is not aware of that program, and to them it appears alien in origin.
I mean, that's a hypothetical situation. I'm not aware of any historical situation that would match that you described. So,
I mean, it would have to be pretty crazy looking to not for them to confuse it with out of this world craft, right? Like that just seems so unlikely to me that you would confuse it with, oh, this came from another planet. Like, you know what I mean? But who knows? I don't know. There could be something there. All right, last one here.
Yesterday, I just wanted to follow up on...
And this is Representative Luna, right, who sent out the tweet that we looked at the beginning of the video, FYI, in case you don't know.
Representative Raskin's questions. In the last couple of years, have you had incidences that have caused you to be in fear for your life for addressing these issues?
yes, personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to note that he's coming forward in fear of his life. To put in perspective, if they were really not scared about this information coming out, why would someone be intimidated like that? To your knowledge, are NHIs working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs?
I don't have data on that. I'm not sure.
Have you heard or you had people come forward to present that evidence?
Not that particular evidence that you just espoused.
Okay, on the 19th of April, Dr. Kirkpatrick, head of Aero, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security?
Yes, him and I had a classified conversation in April 2022 before he took over Aero in July 2022, and I provided him some concerns I had.
Do you know why he might not have followed up with you?
Unfortunately, I cannot read his mind. I wish he did. I was happy to give sage counsel to him on where to look when he took the helm of Aero.
Okay, and then my last question.
Why isn't nobody asking Sean Kirkpatrick that? That is the big question we want to know. Why would he not follow through with that? Because then Sean Kirkpatrick comes out and saying to other people, come and tell me stuff, come and tell. You have the guy testifying in front of Congress. Like, I just don't understand Aero or Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. You know, I don't understand. I'm so confused by that whole scenario.
For you before I move to Mr. Graves is you received prior approval from the Defense Department to speak on certain issues, correct?
Correct, through DOPSR, DoD Pre-Publication and Security Review, and I just want to remind the public, they're just looking from a security perspective. These are my own personal views and opinions, not the department's.
Okay, I'm asking that though mainly because I think that there are many people that would like to discredit you. So it does bring a certain amount of credibility to your testimony.
I'm required by law to do that as a former intelligence officer, or I go to jail for revealing classified information.
Yeah, we don't want you to go to jail. My next question would...
So, okay, that's basically it. Again, I mean, there's more to it. I'll put links to all of this, of course, so you guys can, check this out. So what do y'all think? Is this exciting? Tim Burchett said allegedly. Let's hope this happens, guys. Again, this is where our focus should be. There was a recent interview on Weaponized with Colm Kelleher and James Lukatsky Well, actually, I'm not sure if Colm Kelleher was on there. I saw the clip, and, you know, Lukatsky's talking about a craft that he stepped into, and he couldn't talk any further about it, right? Why isn't he testifying? Again, but he's able to go on a podcast and talk about it. It just doesn't make any sense, y'all. So our focus should be right here. And that's my whole point with a lot of these videos, is to cut through all this nonsense that's out here, right? We're spending time building, right, sandcastles when we should be focusing on, you know, the house with the good foundation, made of brick, right? Not in the tide. It's going to be washed away. So there's just a lot of people out here saying a lot of things, but you got one guy who's going in front of Congress and testifying and trying to get through to all that, and that's who we should be focusing on, in my opinion, and the SCIF. So I'll keep you guys up to date if there's any other, you know, things that come up about it. But I wanted to make this video right away, basically, because to me, this is where our focus should be. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, as always. And thank you guys so much for watching. Patrick Revetted. Remember, every day's a gift. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.